Hello, assalamu alaikum everybody. Hope you're all safe, sound, and healthy. And it is quarter to 3 a.m. Yes, a quarter to 3 a.m. And it is Sunday morning and it has been raging. It has been raging for an hour now. Okay, this is now the 5th of October 2023. And just when we were thinking that, what happened to the autumn vibes? What happened to, all those rains changing the weather? It became hot all over again, which, as I said, was actually in a way needed to help curb the flooding situation. But then rains were expected. Well, rains were expected today and they're expected tomorrow, but it was basically rain showers. Now, so much for rain showers. All I've been hearing for the past hour, or at least half an hour in any way, has been this low, constant rumbling with flashes of lightning. And it went on and on and on, as if something's just droning and droning and droning. And then, in the beginning, it was just rumbles of thunder here and there. And you're like, okay, so it's rain showers maybe. And then suddenly it's just droning, droning, droning. And it's still going on, the droning, the rumbling, the droning, constant. And then the winds catch up, and I'm wondering, has it already rained? I think it's probably already rained, because when I go to make sure all the windows are closed and everything, as the wind picks up, as the storm picks up, then I do see that the palm trees in front of my house are like wet. So the streak of rain that comes down, the bottle palms, and I'm like, okay, so I think it's. And then something that actually never happens, at least it's never happened for as long as I can remember, is that this ongoing raging storm suddenly picks up, and then it goes on. What I'm saying ongoing, I mean it literally lasted at least another 30 to 40 minutes non-stop. Have you ever seen a storm that lasts by lasting, I mean, normally how does a storm work? Winds pick up, right? They go to their peak of fury, then they die down a bit, then they rage up a bit, then they die down a bit. It's like they get breaks in between. This was without any break. Yeah. And this rumbling and droning that is going on, it's been going on now for the past 30 minutes at least, without a break. Understand that. Like literally, even as I speak, it's going on without a break, no breaks. After maybe 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 3 minutes, then maybe a second's break if you're lucky, and then goes on and on and on for another 10, 15 minutes sometimes, and then, so that's what's happening, okay, for the past 40 minutes at least. And that incessant storm has stopped, as in the wind that wasn't dying in any way or giving a break in any way, that is finally broken down. Because, and can you imagine, this has never happened, because when you have these windstorms, they kind of don't exactly affect in the way it was doing, because now it was going in all directions. Yeah, it didn't even have a single direction, it kept changing its directions. It was like whipping in a frenzy all over. I think it had a circular direction maybe, because it was literally gushing forth from every nook and corner, from every direction possible, so much so that it literally went through the vents of the AC, which is again something that never happens because the wind's direction doesn't come that way. And it came straight onto my face and eyes, in the air, dust particles. So that is how strong and incessant it's been. Now, is it just me? Or has anybody noticed how since this cursed illegal government has come, and especially since they placed this cursed man, this godforsaken man, Asim Munir, as the army chief, and what with all they've been doing for the past 2 years, has anybody noticed the amount of such unnatural disasters that have been going on in our country? especially weather related, which are the worst kind. You're getting floods, you're getting storms, you're getting all kinds of nasty weather conditions and viruses and contaminations, and it's weird. And have you noticed that especially the weather conditions become very we're getting more and more earthquakes? Yeah. So have you noticed how we get earthquakes and but especially storms, especially at the time when our army and government has gone and done something heinous? For example, when they were too busy torturing and kidnapping the people of Punjab, and nobody obviously got a whole national momentum against them going to push them back. So every time their heinous activities and their atrocities got worse, we got hit by disasters. Has anybody noticed that? And then now, literally a day after they try to do the same to Kashmir, we're getting this kind of a storm where it's not a normal storm. I'm sorry. If I'm saying it's not a normal storm, you bet it's not a normal storm. I am somebody who likes storms, and I am somebody who is kind of very connected to the weather. I can practically tell you what kind of rain we're going to have, and I cannot tell you what kind of rain we are having, or if it's even raining, or if the raindrops are disappearing as they drop in the air. And I cannot tell you, because this, as I said, is not normal. This is absolutely not normal, whatever this is. Okay? When they committed their atrocities in KPK, we've had earthquakes. Their ongoing atrocities against Balochistan is giving us ongoing disasters. Have you just forgotten the flood we just had? That flood that we just had. Obviously, although the flood also is attributed to them, because if you can attribute half of the disaster caused by divine wrath, the other half was caused by, again, man-made flooding, basically by their corruption and dishonesty. But again, now, as I've told you right from the start, this government and this army chief were literally planted in our country by America. And basically, again, if it's planted by America, it means it's planted by the British. And then it means that Israel has a hand too. Because these three, they form the triangle. So Britain is the ever silent mastermind, because it has delegated all its dirty works to its henchmen. Yes, its left and right hand. And who are they? The left and right hands are the American government and the Israeli mercenaries. Okay? And here we have it. The IDF and the American government. These are the British left and right hands. So you can imagine what havoc they'll be wreaking. And they are wreaking. And so again, have you noticed how since this government has come, protests against Israel have been quelled or censored to this extent that even now the flotilla, when it was detained, when the people were caught and illegally arrested and detained by the Israelis, we had Pakistanis there, we had Italian, Spanish, from the whole world basically, but we had our own small boat or carrier or ship or whatever you like to call it of Pakistan as well, led by one of our ministers. And they were detained, and now, according to the latest news, they have been allowed to go free. And I think they've been maybe they're now in Turkey, is it? I don't remember. I think I don't remember what I just read on the news update. But okay, point is, what the frack is your government? This American planted Form 47 government and its army chief, what the frack? I told you right from the beginning that they have practically sold you out. And they have already had a secret dealing going on with Israel, which now people are exposing. People are thinking that now they're making the deal. No, now they're sealing the deal. The deal was already on paper. That is why they were allowed to. In fact, that is why they were brought to Pakistan and planted here. And that is why Imran Khan was ousted, to get this whole plan intact. You're busy, as I said, you're busy, celebrating the whole Pakistan Saudi agreement, but who is Pakistan going to protect? What does Saudi or the Gulf countries need protection from? Their own people and other Muslim countries and their people that will rise against them. But yes, if China and Iran do enter and form this bloc, then we can, as I said, it's a double-edged sword. It depends on whose hand it comes in. Then manipulation can be done. Yes, reversals can be done. Manipulations can be done. People are suddenly all shocked and surprised that suddenly Trump, commands Israel to stop. Well, do you actually believe in this? Because they know, Trump knows, everybody knows that they're not going to stop. If anything, Israel would gear up, which it has done. It geared up. It increased the intensity of attacks and murders and tortures and killings and everything in Gaza, thinking that, by the time we reach, our deadline, the deed will have been done, the damage will have been done, and, then we can stop. And everybody knows that. Everybody who has a brain knows that. So you're telling me that the American president doesn't know? Oh, he does. Everybody knows it. So, yeah. I'm sorry, but it cannot just be me. The whole world and his wife in Pakistan knows that every single disaster that we are going through these past 2 years, the intensities, the frequencies of these disasters, they are not normal. Remember, God mentioned it in the Quran, even in the Bible, and even in the Torah. But you can take reference from the Quran, where God says that this is how I punish my people: through famine, through plague, through floods, through natural disasters, through earthquakes, through droughts, or drafts. Yeah, I have to sometimes speak American and then I have to go back to British and also, yeah, through drafts. So these are the ways in which I punish my people. These are the ways in which I show my anger. This is the divine wrath, And so it is not wrong to, when people keep on, and people do, as I said, people realize that this flooding was God's curse and wrath. The earthquakes right now, the way they're happening, it's God's curse and wrath. All these natural disasters that are just plaguing us, these are all God's wrath. And why? Notice the intensity. And notice that, especially, as I said, and notice that especially after our government and the army chief have done something, as soon as they've done something that is supposed to have really bad repercussions, or as soon as they've done something to any part of Pakistan or the people of Pakistan, and that is when we get this natural disaster right upon us. That is when we get an earthquake. That is when we get the floods of rains. That is when we get these storms. That is when we get, throughout these 2 years, the amount of disasters that have hit us, they haven't hit us in the last decades, the last 2 decades, I can testify to that. They haven't hit us with this kind of intensity or this kind of frequency as they have done in these 2 years, but especially this year, and it's amazing. It's amazing how, as I keep on saying, that man will not change. Even though man knows deep within, that this is the divine wrath, this is God's curse. For example, man is also the first person to say, oh, this is all BS. Oh, this is just crap. come on, these are just fantasy things, these are just written in books. You know, let's talk now. They want to talk science, and then they want to explain environment, and they want to explain the climate cycles and everything. And the yeah, well, guess what, God already explained all that too in the Quran. You know, the climatic cycles, the environmental changes, the ice age, and then the melt. Then you know, when it all melted, and then when there was less earth, and then when there was more water, and then, as he said, do you not see that the earth will continue to shrink? Yeah. Aren't we talking about water levels going high? Aren't we talking about sea levels going high? Aren't we talking? Yeah, we already know that. We're just understanding it scientifically now. The truth is that that knowledge, that information was provided thousands of years ago, right? Or at least 1,400 plus years ago to be precise. So yeah, don't tell us about that. We are educated people. We know that. The point is that we are so quick to brush ourselves, you know, off of this feeling that there is a divine wrath and we're being punished. You know, our ego, our narcissism, it just flares back on, and we're like, yeah, you know what, fuck it, who cares, you know, we're still going to do what we need to do, and there's no such thing. And so yeah, that is why I keep on saying that we are. I know people like Dr. Mohit Pirzada, especially, they keep on saying, no, you know, our people are not begharat, they're not shameless. You know, it's not that. It's the, yeah, all over, if you put everything together, yeah, our people are begharat and they are shameless. And this is the root cause of it. The fact that our people are the first to recognize divine wrath, and also the first to just brush it away and as if it doesn't exist, and say, oh, you know what, and their egos flare up, their narcissism, their god complex flares up, and they're like, yeah, there's no such thing, no such thing. We're living our lives. This is all part of nature. This is all part of the natural process of the evolution of the earth. So we're just going to do what we need to do, and we'll see when the time comes. Every time. This is especially a Pakistani thing, you know. We'll see when the time comes. And you know, I sometimes I'm in fact right now I'm thinking that maybe God was talking about these people when he said that, you know, they say that we'll see when time comes, and then when the time will come, then they will suddenly fall into despair, and they'll start begging me that, oh, if only we could go back to that time, if only we could go back to that week, so that we can correct everything. And is like, yeah, but now there is no going back, and you can't correct anything. Now you're doomed forever, you fuckers. Yeah, so here we are. I would say I'm not the kind of person who would sit and judge people or slander people or defame people. And my biggest problem with people today is that that is all they do. But I do believe that it is our duty and our responsibility to remind people where we're going wrong, to stop people at least once. Not It's not like we have the right to force. As I said, in Islam, to force anybody to do anything is a sin on its own. It's one of the greatest sins ever. So you can't force anybody to do anything that they don't want to. Remember, God said there is no force in religion. It means that even in religion itself, there is no force. If you force somebody and you only make him have more hatred for God or for religion, then you have actually sinned even more, because now the God is going to credit you with that sin of pushing somebody away from him. So we have to be very careful in such things. And again, that is something else, because what I am trying to do or say here is that it is our responsibility as human beings to speak out and speak up and to do something to right a wrong, especially if we couldn't stop that wrong. We couldn't stop these a-holes from coming. But I'm telling you, if we don't stop them even now, my biggest problem with the people here is we have missed so many golden opportunities. We have missed no less than five, and you can go through all my previous podcasts, and in every single time that we missed an opportunity, I've talked about it, that today again we have missed an opportunity. When the Balochi women went marched in Islamabad and protested, we missed that opportunity to create that momentum. Again, I would remind you, the same momentum that was created in Nepal, the same momentum that was created in Bangladesh, we missed it, when it happened, when they had a problem with Gilgit Baltistan, and there was a whole momentum picking up. We didn't add to it. When there was a momentum picking up in Balochistan, we didn't add to it. When there was a momentum pick in Punjab, nobody added to it. When there was a momentum that was supposed to have been picked up in the northern areas, in any part of the northern areas, every time a protest began, we didn't. Right now, what was going on in Kashmir, we were standing with the people of Kashmir. But again, we could have used this. This was again another golden opportunity for all of us to get united and push back. But as I said, the people of Kashmir, and not just me, everybody again who has a brain already knew. And so, you know what, even when you listen to Dr. Mohit Pirzada and Dr. Shabazz Gill, and they both say that they don't even understand why these people even did what they did in Kashmir, when the whole world knows that is the last thing, and Kashmir is the last place where they should have even tried to do what they did to us in Punjab, or what they've been doing to Balochistan, or what they tried in KPK. Why would they do that in Kashmir? Yeah, well, like how you and I and everybody in Pakistan knows, I mean, we all know this, right? We all know that this was the worst thing to do, right? And Kashmir is a whole different topic, and Kashmir is supposed to be an autonomous region, which means that they are supposed to have their own government. They're supposed to have their own police, their own, they're only dependent on us for defense purposes. We are only supposed to lend them our defense, which is the army. So the army is actually the last people to even have any unauthorized access in Kashmir without the permission of the authorities in Kashmir. But the problem is that over the years, our parties, our political parties have been, or our government, you can say, in other words, has been encroaching upon the internal governance and politics of Kashmir. And the Kashmiris have had resentment for this over time. But the only reason that they never actually spoke up is because of that bond that we've always had, that emotional bonding that we've had for each other, right? But the truth is that even our government, despite all these encroachments, knew that there was a boundary that they should just not, even they drew a line, in other words. Every government that came, and that every government that interfered within their governance, by putting their own people, in other words, like, for example, if you had People's Party, you have People's Party in Kashmir, and, if you have this Nawaz Sharif's party, then you'll have people of there, and, so they're kind of putting heavy presence and majority within the Kashmiri parliament, which, I never understood why. Even when I first heard of this, I was like, "What? Isn't this supposed to be a separate, independent government? How come People's Party is there, and how come Nawaz Sharif's party is there? What are they doing there?" So, yeah, I didn't get it. So apparently the Kashmiris didn't get it either, as we can see now. But, as I said, the Kashmiris are not like Punjabis, or the Sindhis. They are like the Balochis, okay? I'm sorry, they're not even like the Pathans. To me, the Pathans have also failed this time to a large extent. One was expecting a lot more from the Pathans because, what with their links with Afghanistan and everything, and their gun culture and everything, you would expect the Pathans, but they actually did not live up to their reputation this time. So it's only the people of Gilgit Baltistan, Kashmir, and Balochistan. These three have been living up to their to their name. In other words, to what we've heard of them. And why? Because they are the people of Kashmir are already in a state of war with India. Just because they have attached themselves autonomously to Pakistan doesn't mean that they are now in peace. Because remember, they are still struggling for the other half. Because originally, again, Kashmir is supposed to be independent, and it's up to them if they want to choose Pakistan. It is true that for many years, till date even, they have been constantly saying that they will ultimately choose Pakistan anyway. But they can change their minds anytime under the UN resolution as well. It's all their decision. Be independent or choose Pakistan or remain autonomous as they are with an attachment to Pakistan, Fine, whatever they want, but we have no right and India has no right to tell them what to do with themselves or with their country if they want to make it a country, or with their state if they want to make it a state, or with their autonomy if they want to keep themselves autonomous. So, again, as I said, they are already constantly in a state of war because they are still in war with India. Yes, Azad Kashmir, right, is still in a state of war with India so that it can get its other half away from India and they can reform their one whole piece. Gilgit Baltistan also has been in a state where it has been in a sort of a confused, in the sense that Pakistan's government somehow could never openly, officially accept it as a part of Pakistan. They were also treated more or less like Kashmir, where they're supposed to be semi independent with federal alliance, but actually autonomous, just like how KPK was as well for the longest time as FATA, where it had the federal authority, but it had otherwise its own tribal authority, and it was an autonomous as well, autonomous province. So, with Balochistan, because of the constant insurgence of India, the constant entry of the Indian raw agents and their manipulation, and the constant exploitation by our army in Balochistan of the Balochi resources. These two things have led to, again, Balochistan being in a constant state of aggression, in a constant state of self-defense, and in a constant state of war with both ends, with the Pakistani army and its smuggling and its stealing of resources in the Pakistani government and all, and then with the Indian government constantly sending raw agents and creating insurgencies within Balochistan. So Balochistan was always in a state of hypervigilance against two governments, right? So when you cannot mess with Balochistan, you cannot mess with Gilgit Baltistan, you cannot mess with Kashmir. You especially, again, with Balochistan, it's a different story, as in it's a double conflict. But with Kashmir and with Gilgit Baltistan, it's overly sensitive because these were those states that we don't even know till date, even if they actually want to be 100% integrated into Pakistan, if they want to be maintain their semi-independence and their autonomy, and have just a federal alliance, or what is it? So it's a completely sensitive, very different matter, completely altogether, right? So here's that problem. So, as I said, the whole world could see that Kashmir is one place where you just cannot go and you just can't touch them. And the fact that the Kashmiri police also refused to listen to the government at all, and the Kashmiri minister actually resigned. One of their ministers resigned, and he is a member of the PTI, I think, because he couldn't tolerate what the hell was going on there as the violence ensued. And as we know, till now, since my last update, till now, I think about 12 people are reported dead from local sources, and a lot injured. And I hope I got that right, or am I saying that opposite? No, yeah. Yeah, 12, I think it's 12 deaths, right? But okay, point being, as I said, that I wish that the Kashmiris at least would do to the police what we Punjabis never did. And true to form, I could kiss you people. Seriously, I could kiss the Kashmiris. True to form, they did. When they were brutally treated by the by the Islamabad police, again that same Islamabad police, which once was considered one of the best, most professional, and most public oriented police in Pakistan, which never allowed itself to be used politically. Imagine how far gone it must have been for them to be forced into this situation where they had to go and act like Punjab police in Kashmir. And when they tried to, they actually did the same thing. See, again, that's another thing. Since this government has come, the atrocities that the Zionists and the Hindutva extremists have been committing against their people, against Muslims, and against other Arabs on that side and other religions on this side. Let's put it this way, or let me make it more clear: how the Zionists have been behaving with the Palestinians, and how the extremist Hindus have been behaving with the Muslims, the Dalits, the Christians of India, is how our government and army decided to treat us, right? Us. Our own government and our own army, basically our own servants, decided to treat us the way Zionists and Hindu extremists are treating their enemies. So our servants decided to treat their masters, us, in that way. And as I said, that you can again see the Israeli hand, the Israeli training, the American training here, where in all the dictatorships that we have had till date, we have had the worst kind of dictatorships, but never once has there been any atrocity committed to this extent where older people and women and children were targeted. And this government did it in exactly the same fashion that the Israelis have been accused of treating the Palestinians. Notice it. This is why I have constantly been talking about this from the day it started. I've constantly been saying, look at the signs, look at the invisible hand of the Israeli. You can see that these people were trained by the Israelis on how to behave with us. And I think now that they're sealing that deal with Israel, I think now you people must have opened your eyes. And if you haven't, then you really deserve whatever is coming your way, is all I can say. You deserve what is coming your way. If you still cannot open your eyes and see what I've been yapping for 2 years now. These people were trained by the Americans and the Zionists, basically. And this is how they're dealing with us, that the Islamabad police actually went and dared to physically attack women in Kashmir as well. But guess what? Again, as we warned them, even everybody warned them that you are going to make the biggest mistake of your lives, and Kashmiri people are not like us Punjabis, and they're not like the rest of the Pakistani people, that they're just going to take it lying down. And they didn't take it lying down. If anything, at night, they caught up with a lot of the police people. They beat the shit out of them. Thank you very much. For once, somebody has done what I've been saying for 2 years. For 2 years, I've been telling our people to beat the bejesus out of these people. Nobody did that, but the Kashmiris did that. They know what we're talking about. They know what needs to be done. They beat the crap out of those a-holes. They stripped them naked, and then they hung them on the intersection. Yes, for all to see. That this is how you're going to end up if you mess with us. This is exactly what I've been saying for 2 years that we should have been doing to them. Nobody did. See, and you know what? Now suddenly a whole delegation is going there to calm the people of Kashmir down and to listen to their conditions and to reach a peaceful agreement. Again, why didn't you do that the first time round? This is what many people are asking them, that why did you even do this in the first place? As I said, we all knew that this was a bad idea. Do you honestly think that the army didn't know that this was a bad idea? That the government didn't know it was a bad idea, going and attacking the people of Kashmir in the same way that they attacked the people of Punjab, the same way the people of Balochistan were attacked, the same way the people of Sindh were attacked when they tried to get up? You actually think, but actually even the people of Sindh and Karachi didn't see anything compared to what we saw in Punjab and what the Balochistanis, what the Balochis in Balochistan have been seeing. So you tell me, you think that they didn't know that it was a bad idea? No, they knew. It means they did it deliberately. They deliberately tried violence in Kashmir. Why? They were sending a message. To whom? To their Zionist masters. That India is not the only one that is going to get Kashmir ready for you. We will also get access and control enough so that you can use this Kashmir too in your wars against China and Russia. Remember, I told you 1,000 times before, India is not in love with Kashmir. India doesn't give a shit about Kashmir. India has only two reasons to have Kashmir: the borders that America needs access to, and the water source, so that India can have the water source, which it would lose automatically if Kashmir is no longer in their hands. Okay? So, border. Border for whom? For America. For the British, for the Americans, for the European NATO allies. But again, remember I told you that despite all of that, what they really needed was Pakistan, because this access that they needed from Pakistan, and again, if ideally they could get that Kashmir access from Pakistan, it would be easy for them to control the situation, to control China, to control Russia. And this stupid act, this very, very stupid act was attempted by our army chief. Yes, after he very conveniently signed that deal with Israel and America. Notice the timing, please. On that side, he was signing the deal with America and Israel. On this side, Kashmir was being attacked. Understand, please, what they were doing here. So, yeah. So, to everybody who's wondering why he did what he did, this is why he did it. He also knew that it was not going to be easy, but this was his way of telling America and Israel that you're in good hands with us. You just sign this deal with us, and we'll hand you even all the way up to Kashmir if we have to. We're the army, for crying out loud. We've put on a big show, a dictatorship. Look at what we did in Punjab. Look at what we're doing to Balochistan. Nobody can look at what we've even got KPK, the one province that could never be in our hands. That one province that was 100% out of our hands. The one province that wouldn't leave Imran Khan alone, that wouldn't leave his side. We have even got that under control. And now you see we'll go all the way to Kashmir. That was the message they were trying to send. Well, I hope this makes things a bit clearer. And this is me signing out with the dust filled up in my throat. Imagine. Despite all the windows and doors being closed. Khuda Hafiz.